Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 10th podcast of CIPS MENA Procurement Master Talk series. I'm your host, Lalit Dhamija, with 40 years experience in procurement and supply. After my career spanning 37 years, I'm global procurement and supply chain trainer and coach from last 3 years. And I've been working as a CIPS volunteer in UAE since 2009. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Mr. Dixit Jasani. Hi, Mr. Dixit.
Hello, Lalit. Thanks for inviting me. Looking
You're
forward to the
welcome.
podcast.
You're welcome. Uh, we will talk about e-procurement solutions industry, use of evolving technologies, software as a solution based on fully integrated source to pay platforms, and procurement automation and digital procurement. So it is going to be very exciting sessions for procurement professionals. And we will summarize the key learnings at end of the podcast. Uh, Mr. Dixit is a senior
Yep.
vice president of sales and marketing in Zycus. And Mr. Dixit is responsible for global marketing and business development. And of course, most of the things what they are doing, as Mr. Dixit will confirm later, is regarding procurement and supply chain solutions. Mr. Dixit also drives customer acquisition, revenue growth, and business alliances across EMEA and APAC region. He currently leads high-performing and agile teams comprising of field sales, marketing executives, solution consulting, business development, and alliance management functions spread across various geographies globally. Mr. Dixit joined Zycus in 2007 and played significant role in growing Zycus footprints in new geographies. As crucial member of Zycus top management, Dixit is an avid supporter of youth advancement and development. He nurtures key talent within Zycus to take on global roles. He brings overall experience from a career spanning 22 plus years driving technology and enterprise software sales in large organizations. We are very pleased to welcome Mr. Dixit to these CIPS MENA Procurement Master Talks. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Sir, we'd like to know how uh, do you see the e-procurement solutions industry and how has it evolved so far? How are you using new technologies like artificial intelligence, bots, and robotic process automation? It is a really exciting thing for the procurement professionals to know because we could be end users, but what is the story behind? So we'll be very grateful if you could give us some insight into it.
Surely, surely. So I've been fortunate enough to spend 13 plus years in this domain of procurement and supply chain,
Mhm.
and I have really seen the growth happening from point solution providers to an industry which is now talking about almost a very comprehensive source to pay platform providers, and there is a lot of consolidation over a period of a decade plus. It has happened in our space now, and there are like top 5 6 players which are serving the globe. It has
Mhm.
always become like a mini ERP which sits over a data warehouse and talks in a very integrated way, and
Uh-huh.
everything has gone on cloud. In fact, if you
Mhm.
see the journey of the ERP and data warehouses also today, everything is going and moving on cloud. The top vendors, whether Oracle, SAP, they have all come out with their cloud versions.
Mhm.
So similarly, the whole source to pay platforms are also all now hosted on cloud, which is absolutely way more secure today compared to on premise hostings and stuff. So it
Yeah.
has digitally, it has gone through a lot of change in terms of being multiple solutions to a single integrated platform we talk about nowadays. So that is the first change. Now, the reason for this growth has been primarily because of the very clear and measurable advantages. Let me put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with the availability of a comprehensive, highly configurable source to pay platforms, what is happening is that the time taken for business to realize the benefits of automation has drastically reduced, because everything is very configurable. There is You don't have to wait for high level of customizations that you used to think of
Mm-hmm.
earlier.
Yeah.
Everything is very workflow driven now, and almost 100% paperless procurement and supply chain processes are a reality. It used to be dream 5
Right.
years, 10 years ago, but
Yes.
now when you see, it has become like very common. Any supplier to go on a website and register is very common. Nobody thinks of sending a brochure
Mm-hmm.
and maybe filling forms. That has looks like almost a passe, but this was a
Yes.
reality 5 years, 6 years ago. So
Right.
I think that is the contribution of having an e-platform in place, which is
Uh-huh.
multifunctional. So now it is not only about procurement and supply chain. The other departments, whether category management, whether
Yeah.
finance, everybody has got used to collaborating through these kind of platforms. Now there is almost zero dependence on IT. For earlier days, when you need to do anything,
Oh,
even for reports and
yeah.
workflows, you go to IT, please help
Yes.
us with configuration, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't hear that anymore, because now it has become very easy to do say things on a platform which is available. And the best part is, and it is very true in COVID situation, the
Mm-hmm.
business has not stopped. Actually, if you
Yeah.
see, everybody is working from home. And
Yes.
why is it possible? It is possible because there are solutions which are available on the cloud. And similarly for procurement also, the transactions are still happening. The
Yeah.
buyers and suppliers are working almost 24 by 7 basis. We are not talking about 9 to 6 working hours anymore,
Yes. Yes.
because business has become very complex, and you need technology to support you, because you can't have people manning the desks anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is the most significant change we have seen with the advent of technology. The ease of doing business has increased so much.
Yes.
Talking about Zycus, we love to talk about AI, because our birth as a company took place on the back of developing a solution. And the first generation solution, you'll be surprised to know, it
Mm-hmm.
was launched in 98 when
Oh.
GE came to us and asked us to develop something
Mm-hmm.
to classify their very complex spend data. And that's how,
Uh-huh.
from the very beginning, our CEO has been a visionary. He introduced
Yes.
AI because he said that any amount of rules I write
Right.
for complex and big organization, it is going to fail. So we used AI at the very 20
Uh-huh.
years ago. Actually, we
Yeah.
started using that, and we are masters in the trade, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And we have powered our AI function. We have really branded it as a Merlin AI suite now.
Yeah.
In every piece of our source to pay uh, cycle, we have introduced power of AI, so that
Mm-hmm.
things happen automatically at the face of it. The
Right.
solution should be learning on its own, almost like a human brain.
Uh-huh.
And two of the most complex business area which came to us, again, we talk to customers all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
one was the whole invoice
Procurement.
processing,
Yeah.
the supplier collaboration piece, and the second area was the complex contract management, because these are the two areas where we see a lot of transactions happening, and very sensitive nature, right? You go
Mm-hmm.
wrong with your invoice, you end up paying I don't know how
Yeah.
many thousand
Absolutely. Yes.
dollars.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the first part which we took up as part of our AI driven journey.
Uh-huh.
And we always believe that AI is real for procurement, because we have been practicing for 20 years. So while everybody was saying that this is still a thought, we believe that this is just not a thought, it is a possible reality, and we have made it real.
Mm-hmm.
So we have already introduced invoice or AP automation kind of a bot engine,
Right.
which not only reads your invoices till the line level. You talk about Kofax, OpenText, all these OCR
Mm-hmm.
scanning providers are there, but they cannot read your invoices. They
Mm-hmm.
cannot automatically read it in the way that if you have a different template,
Mm-hmm.
then the scanning fails. So what
Yeah.
we said is that it should be like a human brain, right? Human brain knows that if date is not on the left hand side of the column,
Mm-hmm.
it is on the bottom side, it should go and search and fetch the date. And similarly, the whole automation was designed, and now it
Uh-huh.
is not only about scanning, it is about reading till the line level your metadata,
Mm-hmm.
automatically picking up from your email and
Mm-hmm.
posting the data, which
Oh.
otherwise is a human effort, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Detecting the fraud also. So if it is a
Yeah.
multiple duplicate invoice which has come, it is a
Mm-hmm.
human being which is currently trying to check through different source systems. Yeah, this has come before or not, but now the system is able to do it for you. So the
Wow.
job of AP automation guys has become very easy. Now they have to think on the strategy side. They have to think on how to work on the relationship with the suppliers. How
Mm-hmm.
can I work on giving dynamic discounting and stuff? So what we said is that remove the tactical part, let it be done by the machine, because machine will do it within minutes. What
Mm-hmm.
you might take to do hours or weeks, right? So that is
Yes.
happening already, and we have customers who are raving about this particular development, and this is something
Uh-huh.
which is very high on our agenda also.
Okay.
Second piece that we are already enjoying good success was contract lifecycle management. Now, what happens is that there are thousands and thousands of contract, and during COVID situation, the first thing which hit the legal and contract community was, where is force majeure in our
Yeah.
contract?
Yeah.
And just imagine, 1,000+ contract is very common with any organization, right? And
Yes.
now those 2-3 people, poor people in legal, are now asked, find out force majeure, find out risk clauses in each of these contracts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now it was like sky has fallen on them, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
that's why within matter of weeks, because we have 500 plus in R&D, within matter of 2 weeks, we launched our bot for artificially reading the invoices and finding out force majeure and risk related clauses and giving it
Uh-huh.
to the legal community. And this is something now, the 1,000 contracts you can do it within a day, which was
Okay.
impossible to do it in 4 weeks, because when it is emergency, the
Uh-huh.
time is the most
Yes.
crucial factor, because you want to leverage on them.
Absolutely.
So I think we started the journey with these two main functions, and now we are looking at whole of supplier risk and compliance side, because that's the third most important area which has come to the
Mm-hmm.
core now. Now every supply chain user or a procurement category manager wants to relook at his supplier base and
Yeah.
identify whether he's falling in the red zone, whether he's in that whether he's in Wuhan or similarly very hard hit
Yeah. Yeah.
COVID region or not.
Correct.
But COVID is not the only risk for supply chain. There can be so many risks, right? People
Mm-hmm.
can be in a volcano prone region, and there are timelines to that volcano to erupt about maybe in a decade or so at some times, right? So
Yeah.
the risk has been identified in various manner, and we being any procurement solution provider and pioneer on development, so whenever there is anything new that procurement community requires, they come back running to Zycus and says that, okay, now this is the problem, what do we have to do about it? So I think we are on the verge of launching a whole suite of solutions around supplier risk to
Mm-hmm.
help the community. So I think these are some interesting and complex areas where we are looking at doing something
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, what you told me, it is all the journey we have gone through, what we experienced, that interface problem with various applications, and
Oh,
procurement is working in silos. But now, as you said, it is finance, HR, and other departments also. So we all have a seamless integrated platform and these solutions. And I know how difficult it was to go and hunt for each contract, you know,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah,
not only physically and even if it was electronically to match and to search and to see the relevant clauses. But I'm really very pleased to understand and know that you are using AI and AI powered bots to extract the clauses which you need, and it is like a matter of minutes or hours where you get the relevant information right from the system. And
yeah,
you talked about relevant things, which is even during COVID, these things are extremely important, which is contract management, terms and conditions, clauses, and then dealing with the suppliers. What are the risks with the suppliers? And then legal issues again related to force majeure.
yeah,
So these all things you have summed very well, and good to know that technology is helping in helping the procurement professionals, making their life easy and smooth. And of course, during these particular times, uncertain times of coronavirus, companies who had the support of digital procurement, who had the
yeah,
support of e-procurement technology. So this really helped those organizations. And I know you also told it was a slow process, it was a journey. I know I've been meeting you across the globe in conferences, be it India, be it UAE, Bahrain, so many places we have met,
Everywhere,
and
everywhere. I
yeah,
think
and you are doing this. And before we did not know what is these companies like us, why their stand is there, why they're presenting the papers, but ultimately now over the years we understood what is ERP system, what is ERP like Evicha, what are e-procurement systems, what are bots, what are AIs, how they are working for us. And now it seems without that we will not be able to work without digitization and automation. Any big procurement setup or any procurement setup for that matter will get lot of leverage, lot of advantages from these particular offerings. Uh, Thank you very much for these particular insights. And Mr. Dixit, what type of changes do you see to address in currently and post-COVID 19? What type of changes you are seeing which we can address currently during COVID and post-COVID?
yeah. So COVID, in a way, has been an eye opener for procurement
Hmm.
and supply chain strategists. I would say,
Yeah.
suddenly the need for having solutions on available for analyzing remotely has become the paramount for any
Hmm.
kind of decision making, right? So now
Yeah.
you should be able to access your contracts. So now earlier contracts used to be uploaded in secured FTP locations and stuff, but then reading them was still a challenge, right?
Hmm.
So extracting the metadata automatically, being
Hmm.
able to read the risk related clauses, these are all which required human dependence, right? You have to have
Hmm.
a human brain to make sense out of it. You need to have to scan through all that, but then again it's a human being. So I think that was the first area which hit the procurement, that if I would have had an intelligent system
Hmm.
which can just give me my objective driven analysis, that would be helpful. So I think that was the first space which is touched upon. Now there is a very high need for cloud CLM solution with
Hmm.
which are backed by artificial intelligence. I think that is the first thing which has seen a huge upsurge in inquiries and adoption
Hmm.
due to COVID, because this is something which they realize that we need it all the time. It is not only COVID, but COVID is more of a medium, which was an eye opener.
Yeah.
And second most important was procurement. Being procurement, suddenly the revenues became stagnant in every major economy, right? 3 months there
Hmm.
is no business, right? People are not able to earn, and same is going with the companies. So cost reduction and efficient management of the
Hmm.
spend
Yeah.
were basically the strategic sourcing part has become into renewed focus. And people want results like almost tomorrow. So I think that is another area where we are seeing a lot of action happening.
Hmm.
And the third area, which is again the supply chain risk, and again automation, and being able to have an intelligent system which can throw and identify supplier risk in a very systematic manner, not only looking at a dunce number or not only looking at a
Hmm.
ecovedis kind of a risk analysis.
Yeah.
It is more real. They want to see it more live. Like if something has happening today, they want to see the system to be flagging which is the supplier which is
Hmm.
critical to them, which might be hit by the event which is happening today. So I
Yeah.
think it is more real time analysis of your supply chain, geographically, risk wise, that has become a renewed focus. And that is and whenever these business problems happen, the first thing they go to is any procurement solution provider, and we get it directly from our customer base. So this is
Hmm.
real. And
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people here listening will agree to this, that supply chain risk is a renewed focus. And
Absolutely. Yes. Sure.
fourth and most importantly is about running your procurement and supply chain function remotely. You don't want to risk your little business. Of course business is impacted. Now it is very very sensitive that you hold on to your loyal customer base, and the only way you can hold on to them is by serving them.
Hmm.
And how you serve them if your offices are not working. So they have now
Hmm.
started focusing on the solutions which can help them automate their procurement processes and allow them to function remotely and effectively. So demand for very easy to use adoption based cloud procurement technology is again seeing an upsurge. I think these four areas in last 3 months or so has seen some renewed focus, and this is something which we feel is going to remain for long term, because COVID has been a real eye opener.
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. And we are seeing all these progress and the benefits of cloud computing and digitization and other points which you have mentioned here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Mr. Dixit, what type of suites do you think procurement and supply chain organizations should be looking for being more effective and efficient?
Yeah. So almost like 100% of initiatives that we are seeing now in procurement automation, or whether you say digital procurement space
Mhm,
happening, are multifaceted, right? They are not just looking at one area or maybe two area of problem solving. They are looking at holistically. People have become more strategic. They are, and I'm sure SIPs and organizations like you have really helped them to think more
mhm,
holistically. Now they are focusing it on entire functions, like source
mhm.
to pay as a whole. They have started to look at it. Smaller organization with limited resources might be not taking it as a whole,
Yeah,
but they are taking decisions based on a roadmap and just not immediate objectives,
yeah.
which is the right way of doing things. Now they are looking at how a platform which is fully integrated, which can easily start talking to the backend data warehouses, can help in smooth running of functions and allow
Mhm,
them to have analytics of their data. So that is
yeah.
the first thing which I would say organizations should be looking at to remain more effective and efficient. Secondly, the major focus on, as I said, like with the need for technology to be adopted, on a larger user base, the
Mhm,
ease of use is something which works hand in hand. You can have a fantastic brand, very comprehensive, very feature rich, but if it is very difficult to use,
yeah.
then there will be no adoption. And if there is no adoption, any amount of money you spend on your automation will fail. So adoption and ease of use is something which is of high focus now for procurement leaders. They want to leverage. They are not saying that I want to change everything and 100% I want to become expert. They are saying that I want to smartly select my top 70, 80% of the spend bucket, and
Mhm,
I want to really effectively utilize my strategy around that so that I can meet my business goals quickly. So long are those days where a lot of customizations will happen, and 1 year the project will be going on. It's not happening anymore. 3 4 months, then they want the system to start delivering results. I think that's another renewed focus we are seeing in this space. And as I was talking, because the business objectives are so dynamic, so faster implementation are also something which have become core to value realization. And you touched upon the integration as a subject. So now gone are the days where there will be, like I remember 2 3 years ago, there will be a separate 1 day full workshop I would see with IT, just
uh-huh.
talking about how you are going to integrate.
Yeah, I know.
Now,
Uh-huh.
within 2 years, the industry has changed so rapidly. Now you see there are middleware providers
Uh-huh.
which has got so much automation in place
Yeah.
that you don't have to think about different formats. Like I might be sending data in a different language, but there is a middleware which
Mhm.
converts that data into an ERP language. And
Fantastic.
today, I'm proud to say that I can do an implementation in 3 months, and we do integration also within the same time frame, which used to otherwise take a year at least to just think of.
Ye-
Things used to happen in a serial order.
Yes,
First you do
yes.
your software configuration, and then you start doing integration, and those days are gone now. So everything works hand in hand, and projects are deployed faster. I think that's another area which we should look at, because there are a lot of these best in class companies which have modernized their
Yeah.
implementation approaches, which is allowing for faster and tighter integrations. I think these are
This
the
is
top three areas which I feel
yeah,
which are
yeah.
critical.
This is the music to my ears. I know we have gone through that journey, what you described, uh,
Yeah.
making like e-procurement solutions, which one we need, how we need, phase by phase, and then user acceptance test, and all those meetings with ITs, never-ending meeting with ITs, and always there are
Yeah,
issues. We are plugging in loose ends, and it never and you are customizing. And when you are changing
absolutely.
from one version to another version, then everything you have to start from the scratch. And of course, it was not ease of use, it was not early adoption. By the time you are thinking how it will work, a new version will come, and then again you have to retrain. And
Yeah,
I know when we adopted the ERP system, e-procurement solutions, it took so many years, and we could not fully adopt or use it. There was no ease of use. But now, as you said, my question was, how many months do you, or how many years you take to implement? You already said it is 3 to 4 months, which is more practical. You see
Yeah,
the results quickly, and procurement is fast acting, and you are implementing it fast. The solutions which are quickly integrating the key touch points. So with the
absolutely.
back end ERP. So these is
Yeah,
really very practical by which businesses can really benefit, because they can see the benefits ROI of their investments within a foreseeable future, or not like
absolutely, absolutely. Within
tens
a
of
quarter.
years.
And
Yeah,
the best thing is that we are, what we do is when we go about, we say that don't wait for full implementation. If you have something
uh-huh.
as simple as a sourcing application
Yeah,
which is implemented within first 4 weeks, then start running with it. You have already got a tool which will start saving for you. I'll give
wow.
you an example of Heineken.
Uh-huh.
Before we completed their global rollout of 62 countries within 6 months,
Uh-huh.
they had already saved 10x of their investment.
Wow.
It is
This
in
is the
multi-million dollar they already saved, and this they were like they are one of the happiest customers, and they were very practical with their approach. They said that we don't want to do a whole lot of changes. We want to bring in a
yeah.
centralized best
Uh-huh.
practice,
Yeah.
and they could implement within 62 countries
Now
and
such
six
type of
months.
solutions gives encouragement to people. Now what's the thinking? We are already
Hmm.
struggling for revenues and struggling for cash. And if you are saying bring in technology, how many years it will take to implement it, and then how many years we'll see the results. So that is quite discouraging at times, even at the CPO level. If you see the CPO report which is issued by Deloitte, so
Hmm.
many, very few companies, CPOs are happy with the technology or happy with the pace of the technology. But what you
Yeah.
have said, that is quite encouraging for the procurement community. Like whatever you implement, within few weeks you are able to implement it and see the gains and see the benefits.
Yeah,
Uh,
start using it in a delta manner so that by the
yeah.
time the full rollout is done, you are already achieving your results.
Uh-huh.
Ideally, if somebody comes to Zycus, we would say that within 6 months to a year, you should be doing much more than your investment on the technology of maybe normally we say 3 to 5 years of contract we see people signing. And I say that within
Hmm.
1 year, you should have recovered your entire contract value
Wow.
plus more.
That's very good for our CPOs, procurement CPOs, to hear that, and
And they
practically,
all
of
love
course,
numbers, so that's why I'm using some numbers down there.
yeah, uh-huh, yes. And what should companies keep in mind while specifying their requirements for e-procurement
Mm,
solutions? What
yeah.
homework should they do before approaching the market? Now, this is a big challenge. We are procurement professionals. Maybe we know our situation, we know our business, but when it comes to e-procurement solution, before we used to go to IT,
Yeah.
like you were saying, now that bridge is that gap is being bridged by
Yeah.
companies like you. So what should be the companies be like keeping in mind while specifying their requirements for e-procurement solutions?
Yeah. So 60-70% of the cases I'm seeing companies are going for a source to pay kind of a platform.
Mm-hmm,
But even if they are not going, they are taking decisions based on a roadmap of a full platform.
mm-hmm,
So what happens is that when you look at a source to pay transformation, which includes your catalog ways of consuming your
mm-hmm.
day to day tactical procurement, you don't want to do on your own. You want to enable your users, and users can be from any function, right? They
Yeah.
want some laptop, they want something.
Mm.
You don't want to get into involved. You want to have a best practice. You want to sign a yearly or maybe multiple year contract with your strategic supplier, and you want
Yeah.
to put a catalog, and you want your users to start adopting from that.
Yeah.
So in a way, what is happening is that procurement has become more of an enabler. And by bringing these automation and the platforms in place, what is it doing is that giving the power of decisions in the hand of the user. So users would have their own budgets, the departments have their own budgets, there is a workflow based approval process.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is there are multifacets of the impact of implementation of a source to platform is going to happen. So finance, AP, supply chain, and different business group, whether sales, marketing,
Mm-hmm.
everybody gets impacted. So it
Yeah.
is very practical that whenever you are thinking of a source to pay kind of a project,
Mm-hmm.
start inviting suggestions from these different stakeholders, what it means to them. For sales, it might mean that okay, I want a faster contract negotiated on my desk. For marketing, it might mean something else. So
Mm-hmm.
invite objectives and contributions of their needs.
Mm-hmm.
and try to inculcate those practical business scenarios as part of your RFP process, so that,
Mm-hmm.
and try to, I said, when you're gathering these requirements, don't look at computerizing your current business process. I always tell this: don't try to computerize your existing manual processes,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
automation should help you in doing things smarter and faster.
Uh-huh.
So while you mention about your business processes in an RFP document, allow the technology vendor to come back with their own stories and experiences. While meeting your business objective, choose a vendor which is able to bring a real automation and not just computerization of your processes. And that is
Mm-hmm.
very, very important. You know, the the ease of use of the system should drive processes to meet complex business objectives. I think that is paramount to this. A lot of time I see that there are like thousand questions which are around the existing business
Yeah.
processes and how they want
Uh-huh.
to execute.
Uh-huh.
This how part should be left to the tech provider, because they have been working with so many industry leaders, right? And it is a community software that you are applying for. Whenever you look at a SaaS solution,
Yeah.
it is not designed for a particular industry. It is multiple industries which are
Yes.
talking to a SaaS
Uh-huh.
provider, and what they do, they are able to bring all these great ideas from the CPOs of multiple industry and
Mm-hmm.
make a automated solution.
Yeah.
So allow them to present to you the solution that they have. Mention your business objectives and let the how part be left to the technology providers. So that is the first second step, I would say, after
Mm-hmm.
your creating the document.
Mm-hmm.
And the third step would be evaluators should ensure that they look at the technology partner from stability and long-term reputation perspective,
Mm-hmm.
because in our space there used to be like 40-50 players, and
Yeah.
now there are 6-7 players left. So there is a lot of mergers and acquisitions, and new players are coming into the business. So while selecting whom you want to send inquiries for your source to pay platform, you need to look at the stability of your
Mm-hmm.
partners, the tech
Mm-hmm.
providers that you are selecting. You have to look at how much they are investing back on the research and development, because there are a lot of these companies which are run by private equity investments, and they are looking at short term
Mm-hmm.
goals, selling licenses for cheap, and then in playing the valuation game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that dissection is very important. You should look at a long term vision of the companies that you are
Mm-hmm.
working with, because these transformation projects are frankly not easy. It is not difficult from the point of implementation, but once it is adopted by your users, it
Yeah.
is difficult to pull them out from a technology which they are loving it, right? And if they are
Yes.
using it,
Right.
just because the tech provider is not investing it again, then
Mm.
yeah, it becomes obsolete. So that is,
Yeah.
it's a very rapid changing world. If you select a tech partner who's not ready to reinvest, it's in SaaS world, it is always about reinvesting.
Mm.
If everybody is contributing as a SaaS partner, like every customer is like a partner to me. If
Yeah.
he's giving me a license fee, I should be reinvesting a good proportion of that into research and development, so that I can give it back to you in terms of a most updated solution. So you should look at the tech provider with that. You know, and I have rarely seen people asking question around how much you spend
Mm.
on your R&D. I
Mm.
rarely see that in RFPs, which is a miss, I would say.
Yeah.
So
This is
that is an
quite
important part.
yeah, quite insightful and meaningful. And we have gone through the journey so many times, and okay, we can't get back that thing again. But what you are
And
saying, it is a quite a
yeah,
good insights through which companies can specify their requirements and e-procurement solutions and choose their technical partner, like
yeah.
long-term widget and like reinvesting in R&D. And the thing which I liked was they should look at automation and computerization.
Yeah,
So
actually.
yeah, that is a key takeaway.
Yes.
Automation, and not computerization. I know we
Yeah, and the
used to
fourth,
yeah, yeah.
sorry, and the fourth most important point which I
Hmm.
wanted to add is, when you have shortlisted, top 2 3 providers after your RFP process,
Hmm.
don't decide based on what responses have been filled.
Hmm.
Ask them to demonstrate. Of course, you'll ask them to demonstrate, but then after that, after the demonstration, you further shortlist maybe 5 vendors to 3 vendors, and ask in a kind of a rapid classroom sessions, maybe run 3 different classrooms with 3 different technologies, and ask your business users to
Mm-hmm.
play different hats. Somebody can play the hat of a supplier or a buyer or a category manager
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
do a hands-on of these systems. It is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow you push through the throat of the organization a technology, and if they are not adopting,
Yeah.
then there's a problem for you. So being a smart procurement leader, you have to involve people to come and do a hands-on session.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, irrespective of the investment, it is going to touch upon the lives of many people. So you have
Yeah.
to involve people with your journey and make them be part of the decision making process. And how you do it is by inviting them to test the systems.
Mm-hmm.
Any SaaS vendor, if he's serious with you and if he sees you as a strategic customer, they will make this investment of giving you a hands-on session
Mm-hmm.
for a week or so, wherein your
Yeah.
users can really come and test their scenarios. I think that is a very common thing I'm finding, and you cannot go wrong with your tech solution selection if you follow these four basic steps, which I feel are important.
Yeah, I think the last one was also good. Like what you are
Yeah,
saying, even before evaluating, that is should be the part of evaluation when you are
yeah,
inviting business users and asking vendors to demonstrate, and they've got hands-on session. They are
yeah.
seeing what are the solutions being provided, what is the ease of use or ease of adoption, or what are the issues. So that would be a
So there is a
good,
difference, Lalit. There is a
yeah.
difference. At
Uh-huh.
the beginning, you are meeting the business heads who are
Right.
giving you requirements, but
Yes.
at the end, you are
Yeah.
meeting the business users. So there is a difference,
Yes.
because at the beginning you cannot meet so many people, right? You meet five,
Absolutely.
six business heads,
Absolutely.
which are
After
primarily
short,
going to be,
yeah.
yeah.
After
But
targeting
towards the
and
end, it is,
shortlisting, you already
yeah,
explained very well the process, four
yeah,
steps. And initially, you're talking to stakeholders, trying to find their requirements, what is required technically. And then later on, the last step was these demo session and hand-on sessions for evaluation. So that's a good, very good answer to these, like what companies should keep in mind, because I have seen many users saying that to put the scope of work in place itself is so difficult because this is a new technology, we are not used to it. The way you
yeah.
explained, many companies and our audience and procurement community is really going to get some finer points from there. Uh,
Absolutely. And this is all coming from practical experience, right? I am seeing a lot
yeah,
of smart work happening by different procurement organizations, and this is,
yeah. Hmm.
I guess, a sum total of all of it.
Yeah, that's why I thought that this is the question we should be asking you, because
Uh,
you have got so many experiences with so many CPOs across the globe. So
yes, yes.
we can really learn from there and what best practices you have seen. So this is really going to help us. And Mr. Dikshit, what will be your message to procurement and supply communities seeking e-procurement solutions?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they should look for the market offering the best suite, uh, best that suits your need. You need to
Mm-hmm.
look at a partner in a technology provider and not just as
Mm-hmm.
supplier.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at a tech provider who's able to understand your requirement and able to suggest you the right approaches. Somebody who says yes and I'll do every customization that you tell me,
Mm-hmm.
that tell me attitude should go. The tech providers who are experienced will be able to come and tell you how best you can automate. I think the focus has to be on automation while meeting your core business objectives. Don't try to get carried away with somebody who's saying that yes, I'll do as you say. So
Mm.
that's not a partner. A partner would tell you where you are wrong also. A partner will say no to you also if you want to do
Yeah.
something in a very mundane way.
Uh-huh.
True partner will say no. So
Yes.
look for that true partner who's able to say no to the wrong business process and be able to explain to you the right way of doing automation. I think that's one of the key things. And second is, it is very important that before you embark on a journey of automation, talk to top analysts, right? That is an investment. If you have subscribed to, is a very fair investment. It is a very
Mm-hmm.
small money. I'm telling you, when you look at the overall ROI, talk to
Uh,
Gartners, Foresters,
yeah.
SIPS. You
Okay.
guys are doing such fantastic work in the
Yeah.
region, and
Uh-huh.
they should talk to you before embarking on journey for the latest information around automation, about the technology providers.
Mm-hmm.
It is very helpful. I would say it is
Yeah.
important.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here thinking from a global perspective, right? In
Yeah.
pockets there can be different players, but if you talk to analysts who are day to day, breathing procurement and supply chain related functions, they would be able to guide you.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, look at latest happenings in the technology space. AI
Mm-hmm.
is changing a lot of stuff in the whole game is changing by AI. So try to look at these buzzword and how procurement tech providers are embarking on this journey. A true partner will be investing in AI, because that's a given next thing. If somebody is saying that AI is not real, then he's lying and he's not investing.
Mm-hmm.
Try to doubt those kind of tech providers. So always look at
Yeah.
tech providers which is updating themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
as I always say, that reinvesting in R&D. And the fourth and most important part is ease of use. If the technology is not easy to use, you will not get the ROI. So maybe there are technologies which are cheaper, but they are very complex. Then if it is not adopted, then even the cheap solution is not going to help you get
Yeah.
your desired business objectives fulfilled. So at times there are, so if you look at something like an Apple, you'll find them at the face of it, it is expensive, but when you start using those phones,
Yes.
you can use it easily for 3 years and the technology doesn't get obsolete. It is so good in
Right.
quality. Your
Right.
ROI from that phone is much faster compared
Yeah.
to any other, say, Chinese phones which are cheap. And
Mm-hmm.
if you use it, you'll throw it in the air. But you look at the overall 3-year period, how much of money you invested in that kind of
Mm-hmm.
way. So look at a technology which is robust and
Yeah.
which you can think of long term instead of looking at the initial investment. I think more of an ROI driven approach will always help. I think these top 3-4 things is what I can
Yeah.
think of, which is quite real in today's
Mm-hmm.
environment.
You have summed it very nicely. Normally, I sum whatever you say after I wrap it up. There is no need to wrap up. You have wrapped up
Mm.
everything so nicely. Best that suits your needs, understand your requirements, have a technical provider who can automate, who will not tell you how what you need. People will say we need this and not piecemeal basis, but who can come and tell you how
And I get
automation can be
amazed, Lalit.
done.
I still get amazed when
Yeah.
somebody from my tech space says that I will give you a consultant which will sit you with you for 1 year
Oh,
to help you
absolutely,
with the change
definitely.
management. I
Yeah.
said, if it takes 6 months to 1 year for change management, that means that technology has some problem,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Gone are the days. People should be training independent. Technologies are available. So look at
Yes.
something which is not requiring a consultant to sit with you.
Right. Right.
What is
Right.
the point
Now,
of automation? Because you'll fall through.
yeah, because you are implementing within 3 to 4 months, and you are saying any segment which is implemented, go
Yeah,
and use it and see and
absolutely.
get your savings or get your business improvements from that particular portion what is implemented. So it is a fast moving thing. So technology is
Absolutely.
changing, evolving technologies are coming. We should know which particular technical provider is using them, how they're reinvesting in their R&D, and technology should be robust. As you said, you gave a good example of Apple phones versus others. So wonderful. There were so many good insights, and I think people will have to hear this podcast over and over again to get all the wealth of knowledge what you shared with us.
No,
Thank you very
absolutely.
much,
Absolutely.
Mr. Dixit, for coming to SIPS Procurement Master
It's
Talks.
always it always nice to interact with Lalit in every platform, and podcast is just another platform where I get to interact with you guys.
Uh,
So always
yeah,
welcome, and I will welcome any kind of queries. I'll. So I have gone beyond the sales stages now, so it is going to be a true partnership spirit in which I
yeah,
would talk always. So feel free to send me any inquiries or any kind of queries you get
yeah.
out of this podcast, and I'll be happy to respond.
Yes. So I've already shared on the screen your contact details. So anybody from the audience who wants to contact Mr. Dikshit, we got his LinkedIn profile and we also got his email. So he can be contacted with your permission, Mr. Dikshit. Uh,
Feel
Anybody
free.
from the
Absolutely.
audience for your further guidance and support uh, can contact you with your permission. Thank you once again, Mr. Dikshit, for joining us for this very insightful, meaningful podcast. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure is mine. Thanks, Lalit. Bye bye,
Thank you.
and
Bye.
have a good day.
You too. Thanks to the audience for tuning in, and thanks for your support and encouragement. Uh, and This was our 10th podcast in the series. And you can go to the YouTube channels, Lalit Dhamija or you could tune into SIPS MENA Facebook uh, page for tuning in and accessing all the podcasts which have been recorded till date. Thank you.